In March of 2026, I had the wonderful opportunity to take a train from Rome to Assisi, Italy, with my son, Nick. Assisi is the town where St. Francis and St. Clare lived 800 years ago. It's also the place where St. Carlo Acutis is laid to rest. We were so excited to learn more about these great saints by walking in their footsteps and praying at their holy sites. Our first stop was San Damiano. This is the place where St. Francis heard the call from Jesus on the cross to rebuild my church when Francis was 24 years old. After repairing this broken down building, Francis realized that this call was instead to commit his life to serving the greater church, especially the poor. 6 years later, an 18-year-old named Clare, or Chiara in Italian, also was called to commit her life to God in the same way. St. Francis helped her start the order now known as the Poor Clares, and they became lifelong friends. This is where St. Clare and her sisters prayed. This is where they had daily Mass. This is where they ate all their meals in silence. Clare's seat is on the right, marked by the flowers. This is where they slept, all lined up on the floor on straw mats. I'm going to share a cool story with you. One night, the monastery was under attack, and angry soldiers were coming up the hill to kill them. St. Clare told the sisters that God would save them. She went outside on the balcony and held up Jesus in the monstrance. Suddenly, the army stopped in its tracks, and the attackers turned around, leaving the sisters safe. It was a real miracle. After many years of illness, St. Clare died here in this spot in 1253, 12 years after St. Francis's death. This basilica was built in honor of St. Clare. You can pray in front of the original San Damiano cross, which got relocated here. Her body, which is incorrupt, is also here. These are relics of St. Clare's habit, tunic, and white curly hair, as well as on the right, St. Francis's habit and waistcord. I could really begin to understand their life of poverty by their worn, patched-up clothing. St. Francis grew up in this house, which now has a church built above it. And both St. Francis and St. Clare are baptized as infants at this church in this baptismal font. This is the main square in Assisi where Francis threw off his fancy clothes and publicly left his parents to pursue a life committed to God. Here is a church now constructed in honor of St. Francis. The year 2026 is special as it is the 800th anniversary of his death. Here is his cave-like cell where St. Francis slept. Here is an actual mini church that he built, his Porta Uncula. And here is a rose garden in the friar's courtyard. This is a cool story. One night, Francis threw himself onto the thorny rose bushes to overcome doubts and temptations he was having. A miracle happened, and the bushes instantly changed into thornless roses. This new kind of rose bush still grows today, but only in this little garden in Assisi. Here is where Francis died in 1226. It's a sacred place. The third saint we visited was St. Carlo Acutis, who is also laid to rest in Assisi. He died in 2006 at the age of 15. He was canonized in September 2025 by Pope Leo. He loved playing sports and video games like most teenagers, but balanced these with daily prayer, Mass, and service to those in need. One of my favorite Carlo quotes is, "Sadness is the gaze turned in on oneself, and happiness is the gaze turned towards God." We were able to venerate his body and pray there with Carlo. I find it so cool to see a holy person like St. Carlo in jeans and tennis shoes. We sure enjoyed our pilgrimage, praying in these sacred places and developing real friendships with these three awesome saints. It was truly a life-changing trip.